The neon sign outside the moonlit Oasis Motel buzzed faintly, its pale blue glow stuttering against the inky Arizona night. No vacancy, it lied, the letters flickering like a half-hearted promise. Route 66 stretched beyond it, a dark thread weaving through the desert, where the hum of the wind carried whispers of forgotten dreams. Inside room 14, the air was heavy with the scent of old wood and cigarette smoke, mingling with the faint sweetness of my perfume. I sat on the edge of the bed, the mattress creaking under me, my fingers tracing the hem of my emerald green dress, the fabric soft but worn from too many nights like this. The lamp on the nightstand cast a warm, amber glow, its shade cracked, throwing jagged shadows across the faded wallpaper, moons and stars, a cruel joke for a place so far from magic. My name's Clara. I'm 31, though the desert's heat and the weight of this life make me feel older some days. I work the motels along this stretch of highway, from Flagstaff to Barstow, where the lonely stop and the lost linger. It's not the life I planned, but plans have a way of crumbling out here, like sandcastles under a cruel sun. Tonight, I waited in room 14, the clock's red digits blinking 11:12 p.m., each second ticking louder than the last. My nails, painted a deep sapphire, caught the light, though one was chipped, a tiny flaw that seemed to mock me. He was due any minute. The client, I mean. He'd called through my burner phone, his voice low and weathered, asking for Clara at the moonlit Oasis, room 14. Cash only, half now, half later. Standard deal. But there was something in his voice, a cadence, like a song you've heard before but can't place. It stuck with me, lingering like the desert's heat, even now as I sat, a cigarette burning between my fingers, the ash falling onto the carpet. The curtains, thin and dusty, stirred faintly, though the window was sealed tight. The desert's hum was constant outside, broken only by the low growl of a semi-truck rolling past, its headlights sweeping through the room like a searchlight. I stood, smoothing my dress, and crossed to the mirror above the dresser. My reflection stared back, dark hair pulled into a loose bun, eyes shadowed with liner, lips a soft coral that felt too bright for this place. I looked like someone who knew what she was doing, but inside, I was all nerves, same as always. You'd think I'd be used to it by now, but every knock feels like the first. I lit another cigarette, the match flaring bright, and leaned against the dresser, the wood cool under my palms. My mind wandered, to the diner down the road, its jukebox stuck on Elvis, the coffee always burnt. To the girl I used to be, back in Albuquerque, strumming a guitar in her bedroom, dreaming of Nashville stages. Funny how life twists you, lands you in a motel room with a stranger's name on your lips. A knock came at the door, soft but firm, pulling me back. My heart jumped, though I'd been expecting it. I stubbed out the cigarette in the ashtray, its glass heavy and chipped, and took a breath. 1 second, I called, my voice steadier than I felt. I checked my reflection one last time, tucking a stray hair behind my ear, and crossed to the door. My heels sank into the carpet, each step deliberate, like I was walking toward something bigger than myself. I opened the door, and there he was. Tall, lean, with a face carved by time, maybe late 30s, with dark hair falling into his eyes and a faint stubble along his jaw. He wore a faded denim jacket, its collar worn thin, and carried a guitar case, old and battered, the kind you see in pawn shops. His eyes were a deep brown, warm but shadowed, like they'd seen too many sunsets. He didn't smile, but there was something in his face, a quiet intensity that made my breath catch. "Clara," he said, my name soft in his mouth, his voice carrying that same cadence from the phone, like a melody half remembered. "That's me," I said, stepping aside. "Come in." He hesitated, his eyes searching mine, like he was looking for permission or forgiveness. Then he stepped inside, the guitar case brushing against the doorframe, and I closed the door, the lock clicking into place. The room felt smaller with him in it, the air heavier, like we were sharing a secret we hadn't named yet. He set the guitar case down by the bed, its leather scuffed and peeling, and glanced around the room. "Cozy," he said, his voice dry, almost playful. I smiled, leaning against the dresser. "It's got character, if you're feeling generous." He chuckled, a low, warm sound that eased the tension in my chest, and sat in the chair by the window, his jacket creaking as he moved. The neon light filtered through the curtains, painting his face in shades of blue, and for a moment, he looked like a ghost from some old ballad, haunting but alive. I sat on the bed, crossing my legs, and lit another cigarette, offering him one. He shook his head. "Gave it up," he said. "Bad for the voice." I raised an eyebrow, exhaling a thin stream of smoke. "Singer?" "Used to be," he said, his eyes distant. "Not anymore." I nodded, not pushing, though curiosity burned in me. The silence stretched, not uncomfortable but charged, like the air before a storm. Outside, a truck roared past, its headlights sweeping through the room, throwing stripes of light across his face. I shifted, uncrossing my legs, and stubbed out the cigarette. "You got a name?" I asked, though I didn't expect a real one. "Sam," he said, surprising me. His eyes met mine, and there was something in them, a flicker of something familiar, like a chord struck out of tune. It made my stomach twist, like I'd heard his voice before, not just on the phone but somewhere else, somewhere lost. "Sam," I repeated, testing it. It felt right, like it belonged to him. I stood, crossing to the window, my dress brushing my thighs. The neon sign buzzed outside, its light flickering, and I felt him watching me, his gaze steady, like he was memorizing every move. "You play?" I asked, nodding toward the guitar case. He looked at it, his face softening, like I'd touched something sacred. "Sometimes," he said. "When I can't sleep." I smiled, soft and genuine. "I used to play, too. Long time ago." His eyes lit up, just for a moment, like he'd found a piece of himself in me. "What kind?" he asked. "Acoustic," I said, my voice quieter than I meant. "Wrote a few songs, even. Thought I'd be somebody." "You still could be," he said, his voice low, earnest. It wasn't a line, not the way he said it. It was like he believed it, like he saw something in me I'd forgotten. My throat tightened, and I looked away, my chipped nail glaring under the light. "Not anymore," I said. "That girl's gone." He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his eyes locked on mine. "She's not gone, Clara. She's still in there." The words hit me like a gust of desert wind, stealing my breath. Nobody talked to me like that. Nobody saw me like that. I was a shadow, a transaction, a name they forgot by morning. But Sam looked at me like I was real, and it scared me more than anything. The silence grew heavy, the lamp flickering, the neon sign buzzing outside. And then, from the guitar case, came a sound, a soft, metallic clank, like something shifting inside. Sam's face changed, his eyes darkening, and my heart stuttered, the air suddenly cold. The clank echoed in the room, sharp and out of place, like a wrong note in a song. I froze, my eyes darting to the guitar case, its battered leather gleaming faintly under the lamp's glow. Sam didn't move, his hands still on his knees, but his face was tense, his jaw tight, like he was bracing for something. The air felt thicker now, charged with a question neither of us wanted to ask. Outside, the desert hummed, the neon sign flickering, and a distant truck's rumble faded into the night. "Sam," I said, my voice low, "what was that?" He looked at me, his brown eyes shadowed, and for a moment, I thought he'd brush it off, like it was nothing. But then he sighed, a heavy sound, and ran a hand through his hair. "It's not what you think," he said, his voice rough. "It's personal." "Personal?" I stood, crossing my arms, my nails digging into my skin. "You bring something into my room that makes a noise like that, and you call it personal?" He flinched, like I'd struck a chord he wasn't ready to hear, and stood, pacing to the window. The neon light painted his face in blue, his reflection faint in the glass, like a man half gone. "I'm not here to scare you, Clara," he said. "I swear it." "Then tell me," I said, stepping toward him, my heels silent on the carpet. "What's in the case?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned against the window, his hands in his pockets, and stared out at the highway. The stars were bright now, sharp against the sky, and the desert's hum was louder, like it was listening. "It's a piece of my past," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "Something I can't let go of." My heart raced, and I thought of the guitar case, its weight, its secrets. I wanted to push, to demand answers, but something in his voice stopped me, a rawness, like he was bleeding inside. I'd heard that tone before, in my own voice, in the quiet moments when the world felt too heavy to carry. I sank onto the bed, my hands gripping the edge, the mattress creaking under me. The lamp flickered, its light weaker now, and the room felt smaller, the walls closer. "Tell me about it," I said, softer now. "Your past." "The music." He turned, his eyes meeting mine, and for a moment, he looked like he might shut me out. But then he sat beside me, the mattress dipping under his weight, and his voice was low, like he was confessing to the dark. "I was in a band," he said. "Back in the day. Small time, but we had something. Bars, clubs, a few recordings. Thought we'd make it big." "What happened?" I asked, my voice quiet, like I was afraid to break the spell. He looked down, his hands clasped, the denim of his jacket rustling. "Life," he said. "Fights, drugs, bad choices." I walked away, but I kept the guitar. "And something else." I glanced at the case, the clank still echoing in my mind. "Something else," I repeated, my voice steady but curious. "Like what?" He didn't answer, just looked at me, his eyes searching mine, like he was trying to decide if I could handle it. The silence stretched, heavy but not uncomfortable, and I felt it, the pull between us, like a melody we were both afraid to play. I wanted to touch him, to close the distance, but I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I stood, crossing to the window, my dress brushing my thighs. The neon sign buzzed outside, its light flickering, and I felt him watching me, his gaze warm, like a hand I couldn't see. "I used to write songs," I said, not turning around. "Back when I thought I could be someone. Silly stuff, mostly, love, heartbreak, the road." "Not silly," he said, his voice soft but firm. "You got one you remember?" I laughed, soft and nervous, and turned to face him. "Maybe. But I haven't sung in years." "Sing for me," he said, his eyes locked on mine, and the way he said it, like it was the only thing that mattered, made my chest ache. I hesitated, my throat tight, but then I started humming, a soft, slow tune I'd written when I was 17, about a girl leaving home, chasing stars. The notes were shaky at first, but they grew stronger, filling the room, mingling with the desert's hum. Sam watched me, his face soft, like he was hearing something holy. When I stopped, the silence was warm, like a blanket. He stood, crossing to me, stopping just short of touching. "That was beautiful," he said, his voice low, and I felt it, the weight of his words, like they were for me and not just the song. We stood there, the lamp flickering, the neon sign buzzing outside. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. We talked about music, about the road, about the dreams we'd buried. He told me about his band, about the nights they'd played until dawn, about the songs he'd written for a girl he'd loved. I told him about my guitar, the one I'd sold to pay rent, about the nights I'd spent staring at the stars, wishing for more. We laughed, soft and careful, like we were afraid to break the moment. But the guitar case was always there, its secret a shadow at the edge of the room. I tried to ignore it, to focus on Sam, on the warmth of his voice, the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. But it was there, a reminder that this wasn't real, that it couldn't last. Dawn was close now. The sky outside turning a soft, dusty pink. The lamp buzzed, its light nearly gone, and the air felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. Sam stood, stretching, and crossed to the window, looking out at the highway. "I should go," he said, but he didn't move. I stood, my heart racing, and stepped toward him. "Stay," I said, the word slipping out before I could stop it. "Just a little longer." He turned, his eyes searching mine, and for a moment, I thought he'd say yes. But then his gaze flicked to the guitar case, and something in him closed off, like a song cut short. "Clara," he said, his voice rough, "there's something I need to tell you." Before he could finish, a sound came from outside, a sharp, metallic screech, like a car door slamming shut. Headlights swept through the curtains, bright and harsh, and the guitar case clanked again, louder this time, like it was answering the noise outside. The screech pierced the room, sharp and jarring, like a needle skipping on a record. The headlights outside blazed through the curtains, throwing stark shadows across the walls, and Sam's face was pale, his eyes wide with something I couldn't name, fear, maybe, or resignation. The guitar case clanked again, a heavy, deliberate sound, and my heart pounded, my hands trembling. The lamp was dead now, the room lit only by the dawn's faint pink glow and the harsh glare of the headlights. The desert's hum was drowned out by the low growl of an engine idling outside, and the air felt thick, like it was waiting for something to break. "Sam," I whispered, my voice shaking, "what's out there?" He didn't answer. He moved to the window, peeling back the curtain just enough to look out. The headlights caught his face, sharpening the lines around his eyes, and I saw it again, that weight, that secret he'd been carrying. The engine growled louder, and I heard the crunch of gravel, slow and deliberate, like footsteps approaching the door. "Stay here," he said, his voice tight. He crossed to the guitar case, kneeling beside it, his hand steady but quick as he unzipped it. I caught a glimpse of something inside, not a guitar, but a small metal box, its surface scratched and dull, with a faint green light blinking on one side. My stomach twisted, my mind racing with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. "Sam," I said, stepping toward him, "tell me what's going on. Now." He looked up, his eyes meeting mine, and for a moment, I thought he'd shut me out. But then he stood, the box in his hand, and his voice was low, urgent. "It's a recording," he said. "My last song. Something I wrote for her, for the girl I lost. I've been carrying it, trying to find the right place to let it go." I stared at the box, its green light blinking like a star. "A song?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "That's what's in there." He nodded, his thumb brushing the box's surface, like it was something alive. "It's all I have left of her," he said. "But it's not safe." "Not anymore." My heart raced, and I took a step back, my heels catching on the carpet. "Not safe?" "Sam, who's out there?" He didn't answer, just slipped the box back into the case and zipped it shut. The headlights outside grew brighter, the engine's growl louder, and the gravel crunched again, closer now. Sam stood, the case over his shoulder, and moved to the door, his hand on the knob. "Clara," he said, turning to me, his eyes soft but fierce, "you're more than this place. More than this life. Don't let it hold you." The words hit me like a chord, deep and resonant, and I reached for him, my fingers brushing his jacket. "Don't go," I said, my voice breaking. "Whatever it is, we can face it." But he shook his head, his face etched with pain. "I can't," he said. "I'm sorry." And then he was gone, the door slamming shut behind him. I stood there, my heart pounding, as the engine outside roared, the headlights blinding through the curtains. I ran to the window, pulling back the fabric, and saw a dark van idling in the parking lot, its windows black, its engine growling like a beast. Sam was walking toward it, the guitar case in hand, his step steady but quick. A man stepped out of the van, his face hidden in the dawn's shadow, and Sam stopped, raising a hand, like he was trying to explain. I couldn't hear their words, but I saw the tension in Sam's shoulders, the way the other man's hand moved to his side, like he was reaching for something. My breath caught, and I pressed my hand against the glass, willing Sam to look back, to see me. But he didn't. He handed the case to the man, who took it and climbed back into the van. The engine roared, the tires spun, and they were gone, leaving a cloud of dust that glowed in the rising sun. I sank to the floor, my back against the wall, my hands shaking. The room was quiet now, the clank gone, the lamp dead, the neon sign outside still flickering. The desert hummed, soft and steady, and the first rays of sunlight crept across the carpet, warm and golden, like they didn't know the world had just broken. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the door, waiting for it to open again. It didn't. The highway came alive outside, trucks roaring, life moving on. But I couldn't move, not yet. I thought about Sam, about the girl he'd lost, about the song he'd carried all this time. I thought about the girl I'd been, the one who strummed a guitar and dreamed of stages, the one who believed in music, in love. I thought about the woman I was now, and the woman I could be. I stood, my legs unsteady, and crossed to the dresser, where my cigarette pack lay, empty now. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, my makeup smudged, my hair loose, my eyes red but alive. I didn't look like Clara, the escort, the shadow. I looked like someone who'd felt something real, even if it was just for a night. I packed my things, a few clothes, a comb, a half-empty bottle of perfume, and left the room, the door clicking shut behind me. The sun was high now, the desert awake, the highway shimmering under the heat. I walked to my car, a beat-up Honda that had seen better days, and slid into the driver's seat. The leather was hot, the air thick with dust and memory. I didn't know where I was going. Not back to the motels, not back to the life I'd known. Maybe north, to Nashville, where the music still lived. Maybe west, to the ocean, where the waves could wash me clean. All I knew was that Sam had seen me, really seen me, and that was enough to make me want more. I turned the key, the engine coughing to life, and pulled onto Route 66, the road stretching ahead, wide and open. The desert hummed, the sun burned, and in the rearview mirror, the moonlit oasis faded, its flickering neon sign a memory in the light. I thought about Sam, about the song, about the life he was running toward or away from. I thought about the girl I'd been, the songs I'd written, the dreams I'd buried. And then, soft and uncertain, I started to sing, a tune from my teenage years, about a girl chasing stars. The notes were shaky, but they were mine, and they filled the car, the highway, the desert. For the first time in years, I felt alive, not whole, but alive, with a bittersweet ache in my heart that told me I was more than this place, more than this life. The road stretched on, and I drove, the sun climbing higher, the world waiting. Wherever Sam was, whatever song he was carrying, I hoped he'd find his peace. And me? I'd keep driving, keep singing, keep searching for mine,